Hi, again, my name is Jenny Fernandez. I'm a leadership coach and branding consultant. I'm a professor at Columbia Business School and New York University, and I'm a contributor at Harvard Business Review and Fast Company. Today, I have the pleasure to speak with JoyL Silva. She's the U.S. Customer Engagement Platform Lead at Pfizer. So JoyL, welcome. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, Jenny. Thank you so much for having me. My name is JoyL Silva. I'm a Pfizer veteran of almost 25 years, and I currently lead our U.S. customer engagement functions here at Pfizer for primary care. It's just such
Fantastic.
a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. It's a pleasure to have you. And it's amazing. You are in an amazing company, great industry, and an industry that has been seeing a lot of change and growth, both because of the pandemic and coming now because of AI and technology. I feel like a lot of the startups work that I see out there is the combination of obviously healthcare and technology. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
So one of the questions that I have for you, because you are, again, in such an amazing industry that has had so much change, how do you cultivate resilience as a leader for yourself and for your team?
Thanks, Jenny. And yes, my goodness, we've all learned a lot about resilience in the last few years, just given how our work has evolved, from hybrid to back into the office, et cetera. But I think at the heart of that, cultivating resilience to me boils down to a couple of things. First and foremost is what's your purpose? What's your purpose? What is driving you and the work that you and your team are doing. And when you're really focused on that sense of purpose, it can guide you through even the most difficult times. But you can't always do everything. And I think we all face that during, just the pandemic as well as after. I don't speak with anyone these days who doesn't seem to have a very long to-do list. So for me, how I try to work with my team is to cultivate focus. And so if you have a very strong purpose and then you also have a deliberate focus each and every day, and you really hold true to that so that the things that matter the most are where you're focusing your time and energy, it just becomes a guiding principle to help. It doesn't mean there's going to be other things that won't be important, but that's truly how you build resilience and grit in times of change.
Thank you. I really appreciate basically, when you mentioned the sense of purpose and prioritization,
Yeah.
because obviously many leaders, many teams are experiencing burnout. And this has been it hasn't not been a sprint, it has been a marathon. So we really needed to be able to regulate ourselves. And for that, having a leader that helps create a culture that allows for prioritization and for focus is key. So it's something that I think, again, I'm sure your team appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard. So it doesn't come easy. And one of the things that we've done across multiple teams I've been a part of is try to celebrate wins and joy and also being there for each other. So, when you have a difficult day or you're not going to be able to get to all of your work that is a priority, that is the focus, someone else is there. And so I think another piece that helped us was just making sure there's a cross-training ability. Everyone knows enough about their counterparts' role and their focus to be able to step in and help out, because you just don't know when you're going to be forced to do that. And so I actually think throughout many different roles recently with teams that I've had the opportunity to be a part of as well as lead, that has been the bright spot, is actually having someone who understood your priorities, your focus, your purpose, so that when you couldn't get to something, you always knew there was someone there to help you out. And likewise, it was vice versa. So, we talk a lot about zigzags in your career and cross training. What a better example than cross training on a daily basis?
Yes, no, exactly. I really appreciate that because basically, having somebody, a peer that you can rely on who can step in, whether it is because you're going on vacation to recharge, or frankly, because you need to do caretaking for a family member, or you fall ill. I think it's just, again, key knowing that somebody has that knowledge who can step in and support you. And obviously, I think as I mentioned, during the pandemic and recently, all of the work that we're doing it just requires a different level of balance. So I think having that support system is key, especially as you create a high-performing team.
Exactly. And one of the things that I find is the most challenging to evolve as a leader for the team is to stop apologizing for when we need to take time for ourselves,
Yes.
or stop apologizing for, oh, I have to pick my kid up. I need to go to a birthday party, or I'm taking the afternoon off to, have a me day. We have to just stop apologizing for taking the time that we might need and realize that the rest and restore are also part of kind of our core way of being, so that we can come back and be energized and recharged and not just waiting and pinching it all up for some great massive vacation. I think those are vacations we don't often get to take, but finding a little piece of joy in each and every day.
No, fantastic. Thank you. And with that, another question that comes to mind is obviously building relationships is key, both being a successful leader and creating, right, a culture that helps others rise to the level of leadership and their potential. But as a leader like yourself that manages customers, how do you basically manage both internal and external relationships to help you navigate, existing challenges?
So internally, I think there's one lesson that I've always taken to heart, which is I have to work across multiple different functions that are highly matrixed to make sure we receive the support and to be able to execute and get our roles done. However, I don't think that anyone that I engage with, their first question to me is not, oh, what do you need from me? They have their own agenda. And so oftentimes you can't start into any relationship with, hey, I'm only calling you when I need something. I mean, we don't treat our friends that way. So why would we treat our coworkers that way? So I think for me, every time, and as an example, this customer engagement platform lead role is new for me and transitioning from an antivirals leadership role. So I'm just asking, hey, what is on your agenda? What are your goals for the year? Now let's discuss what I am ultimately going to need from your function and how are we going to make this work for our teams? So I think, I provide that flexibility and visibility for my team to see how I engage my peers to get the work done internally. Now, externally, that can be very tricky depending on the external customer. So obviously, all of the functions I have the privilege of leading face healthcare providers in one form or fashion across everything from integrated health systems to an individual physician practice. And that's critically important. And so our purpose is to continue to make sure we lean in and have excellent interactions and engagements with healthcare providers that are professional, that are compliant, that are engaging, and where we're helping them to solve some of the biggest health problems that they have. Externally, in my old role as an antiviral lead, my biggest customer, given during the pandemic, antivirals were only procured by governments, was governments around the world. And so I think also understanding what their needs are and making sure that you can deliver on your promise is really key.
Thank you. I really appreciate how you framed it because basically it's problem solution, understanding your audience, regardless if it's an internal team member, a peer, or an external government, is really understanding what is it that they need so that you can frame basically the approach as this is what I can provide you and this is what I need in return. Because,
Exactly.
all of us are looking to obviously kind of pursue our own agenda. But if we, create a collaborative approach that helps create a shared version of success, I think, again, that helps us position ourselves as somebody who is more of a collaborator. So I really
Exactly.
appreciate that.
Exactly. I mean, our company is our mission is breakthroughs that change patients' lives. So we're not going to be able to deliver breakthroughs if we can't make sure that we're understanding of different perspectives and just giving context. I know that sometimes I get frustrated if people come to me in a last minute of, I need this, I need this, I need this. I want to hear like, well, why? What are we working on? What's our end point? And that just helps me to frame things. And then if I have that relationship, I know, of course, you can come to me at any point and say, oh, I need this instantly, immediately, and you've got my support.
No, exactly. And as you mentioned, it's all about relationships. They need to know you as a person. They need to see the kind of leader you are. They need to tie back to the values. So again, having those shared values so that whether you are a leader representing Pfizer, a company looking to provide solutions, and obviously governments in the pandemic were looking to provide solutions to all of us. I think it's again, and the urgency, right? So having that urgency, those values is key because then you're able to, I would say, negotiate or resolve conflict, and it's less of transactional, I think, approach and more really about the long term. So I really like.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'll give a plug. There's an excellent book. There's a lot of books on negotiations and how to have conversations. But there's one that I've enjoyed. I have it bookmarked. It's highlighted 1,000 times, and it's called Ask for More by Alexandra Carter. And it's just a phenomenal book. And it just talks about, not the BATNA, not all the other things we learn about in negotiation, but listening to what is the actual problem and trying to find a solution through listening. And I think that really has meant so much to me throughout the years in different roles and different positions. It's kind of that philosophy of I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care. And that mentality is, I think, what has really fueled good conversations. It doesn't mean you're going to get your way every time. It just means you're able to see eye to eye and come to a win that you feel like helps to advance your purpose.
No, fantastic, fantastic. Thank you. I'll be sure to put that in my reading list.
Yes, pick it up. It's a good one.
No, that's wonderful. Another question that I have for you is basically in terms of communication, because obviously I feel like storytelling, really having a compelling, message is something that appeals to different audiences, different people. And as a leader, you navigate so many different waters, whether it is speaking to your peers, speaking to your direct reports, or frankly, speaking to external stakeholders. So I would love to kind of get your thoughts and practices. How do you leverage storytelling to make it more impactful?
Yeah, I find that if you can tell a story, it just starts the conversation in a completely different way. One is it's just exhibiting that you're vulnerable. So you're laying out there, this was my experience. And you're drawing people in so that they can be part of that experience with you. And there's just nothing better than, if someone introduces themselves at a conference or a meeting and they're like, I'm so and so and I'm here to tell you blah blah blah. I mean, you've lost me instantly. But if you talk to me about, hey, I have this experience where I had the opportunity to lead an antiviral franchise, and my first day on the job, literally we had to figure out how to move product around the globe to get to patients that were in need. And additionally, in the same time frame, I had governments calling me to negotiate contracts, as well as trying to build a team. And I was doing all of this, from a little small cubicle in my home, where hopefully no one was going to disturb me for the day. So you draw people in through just being vulnerable and talking about your own experiences. I do think that it's just how we communicate and how we have evolved. And I do find that given we are in more of a technology driven world, it just really infuses a lot more potential and opportunities.
Yes, no, exactly. I mean, frankly, as you mentioned that when it is such a technology-driven world and we are cocooned many times because of the work that we have, because of the location, the hybrid approach of working nowadays as well. But also, I think even though we're so connected, we're lacking connection. So being vulnerable, actually telling your own story, or struggles, successes and struggles, is just something that I think, again, helps find that shared meaning so that people can say, okay, we're all in the same boat. We're not alone.
Exactly. It also helps to strengthen your sense of purpose. For me, purpose is not just something that you put on a slide. It's something that you have to actually really think about each and every day. What's driving you to do the work that you do, and are you living true to that? Because if you're truly living your values, then you're not really showing up for work. You're showing up to do what you enjoy to do. And it doesn't mean every day is going to be great or fun. Sometimes there are challenges that can be stressful. However, at your core, I think that's really the goal. And I think through storytelling, that's pretty much how I've understood other roles within the company or other roles I might be interested in. I find job descriptions just insanely boring. That's the one role descriptions are the one piece that I wish we could update as a society, because no job description ever reads fun and engaging. It's just always very technical, no matter what type of role that you're applying for. And so I think, even looking to storytelling of, what's the story of what this role does and what's the vision and the purpose we want to achieve would probably help us attract different candidates across different industries for our roles.
Yes, no, and you reminded me of something. I read about the World Economic Forum. They published basically late last year, what are the top 10 skills that,
Mhm.
we as the workforce in the age of AI need to thrive. And I think 6 out of the 10 were basically more soft skills, cognitive,
Mhm.
resilience, adaptability, again, emotional intelligence, the ability to connect with each other. And obviously, there were some that were more technical, AI, big data, et cetera. But it really shows that all of us as individuals, in order to grow as people, be connected, and frankly, ensure that we're going to continue to be relevant in the new world of work, need to really explore and develop, those soft skills, as you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just becoming, checking the box with your credentials is just the getting your foot in the door. And then it all depends on your ability to discuss your experiences through stories, through experiences that you've had, or through the vision that you want to achieve. And I look for that when interviewing candidates. I try to represent that, as well whenever I'm meeting a new team. It just gives them such a different sense of who you are.
Yes, yes, no, perfect. So thank you so much. I have one last question, and this is more
Sure.
as to look into the future. Obviously, we're starting 2024, and we are at such a pivotal moment with the age of AI. Basically, I believe that the World Economic Forum is coining it the fourth industrial revolution. And this is going to happen at a bit more of a rapid pace than what we have seen before in our lifetime. So I wanted to ask you, when you look ahead, how do you think leadership is going to evolve for yourself or your industry in the next 3 to 5 years?
Wow, that's a big question. Every time we discuss the role of AI and specifically the role of AI for leaders, I find we always discuss technologies. And one of the things that means a lot to me is I'd love to see us reframe the discussion in terms of the biggest challenges that we have around the globe, whatever work you may be involved in, and how we're seeing those differently as a result. So for me, using technology and innovation as a leader, in the past, it used to be only for certain projects. Oh, well, if we have this, we're going to have to look for a certain technology or a fit. It was a little bit more cookie cutter. Here's the problem, here's the solution. And my approach now is more one of curiosity. So for me, leadership in the future is all about curiosity, having a curiosity of how does this work? How can I think about this differently? Why is this still a problem? Some of the world's problems, you ask yourself sometimes, why are these still problems given we are so far ahead in the world? And so I just thinking about artificial intelligence as and the role that AI can play through the lens of curiosity is certainly the way that we are headed into the future.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Being curious and asking questions and frankly unlearning what we learned, because we're not going to solve, the problems. If we haven't solved it up until now, it's because we need new solutions and new approaches. So I hope that with AI, we can even, co-create and co-collaborate with technology as a way to help us be better, and produce faster results. So I think that is, again, a fantastic skill for all of us to develop.
Exactly. I mean, I think the other thing, in addition to just using how we use artificial intelligence, is also setting aside the time to be able to think and be strategic. I feel like we've gotten into a very rushed, hasty culture. And
Yes.
so oftentimes, I'm not doing my best thinking when I'm in the middle of my workday. I wish I was, but I'm doing my best thinking when I have the chance to reflect upon that. I'm in a yoga class on the weekend and I'm thinking through something that happened at work or a problem or a challenge or something that I'm working through. And that's where I do my best in terms of just focusing and centering. And so that's my leadership resolution, hopefully, is not only how do we be more curious as leaders, but also how do we set aside the time, because realizing that spending
Yes.
the time reflecting on problems and how you might attack is equally, if not more important than that next meeting that you have and thinking about how to get to the next thing.
So true. I feel like as we grow as leaders, time is the biggest resource that, that we have and that we need, so being clear on what deserves a no and what deserves your yes. I think is really, really important, because going back to what we started in the conversation, prioritization and focus is really what is going to help us, again, scale our leadership and get better results. So it's been a
Yeah,
pleasure, JoyL. So thank you so much for joining me here. And I look
sure.
forward to continuing the conversation in other ways. Thank you.
That sounds great. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.